the way the pandemic hit and what it did to everybody, and it was a completely different culture.
Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Auto Tech Show. My name is Mark Babin, your host, and as always, it's great to have you with me on this show. Thank you for clicking. It's a fantastic episode that we have ahead, so you're really going to be glad that you're listening to this one. This episode, we're discussing the lasting impact that the COVID pandemic has had on both the tire wholesale and retail markets. While the pandemic is visually behind us, its effects have made significant changes on the industry that are going to last decades, if not longer. And to help me shine a light on these effects, I have the luxury of welcoming two esteemed gentlemen all the way from the UK representing the Tyre Wholesale Giant, Stapletons. We have the head of marketing, James Whishaw, and Wholesale Director, Nigel O'Hara. With 80 years of experience, Stapletons is one of the UK's leading distributors of passenger cars, 4x4, and van tires, employing over 1,000 people across 11 strategic locations nationwide. The company is a national leader in tire warehousing and distribution for the specialist tire retail and car dealership sectors. That's a mouthful, but I got it. James, Nigel, fantastic to have you both with me here in Vienna. Great to have you here. So thank you so much for that. Really looking forward to getting your insights on this. I think it's an interesting topic and it's one I've really enjoyed sort of diving into as I was doing some research for this. But first and foremost, again, thank you so much for being with me.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. It's yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, and it is nice to have it. It's nice to have guests in the studio, to be honest. I do so many of these remote.
I noticed when I was watching one last night.
It's nice to have people here, so I'm really grateful for that. So thank you for that. Perfect. So let's jump straight into it. We have a lot to get through, and I really want to let you guys kind of speak here. So perhaps looking at both retail and wholesale from a higher perspective, looking at the industries, given both of your many years of experience, can you share your thoughts on what have been or has been the most significant changes in the tire retail and wholesale side since the onset of the pandemic? James, maybe coming to you first, Nigel, whoever wants to speak here. I think you both have a ton of experience, so I'd love to see how you've seen this develop.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. I think, first of all, what did the pandemic do to Stapletons? Yeah. Made some great changes in the business. And it made some great changes to the way we did business also. One of the things that really hit us is that we never ever thought that our telesales teams could ever work from home. So,
like everyone,
we'll never forget the 23rd of March 2020 when the whole world stopped, or the UK stopped. Yeah. And, I've got 38, 40 people wondering how, are they going to have a job? But, very, very quickly, we managed to get these people back to the houses and actually set them up at home. And before I knew where we were, within 2 days, we had an entire telesales team working from home.
Incredible.
I think industry-wise, there was a really worried time where the independent tire dealers were really worried, particularly some of them who were quite deep in with finance and things on ramps and MOT stations and machinery, etc. And there was a really big worry about that and how they would really manage to pay. And I think that April 2020 was an absolute sort of worry for everybody.
Big question mark.
Yeah,
month.
Absolutely. And we started to see, freight rates from China rise to astronomical levels. And we made a decision then that maybe we wouldn't bring as much in from China. And we were seeing other wholesalers at that time cancelling orders for premium tyres.
Having to adjust a little bit.
Absolutely. So we decided we would concentrate on premium tyres. And what
a shift.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was sparing the marketplace from other wholesalers cancelling orders, we grabbed those and losing 100,000 budget tyres out of our stock, we filled it with 100,000 premium tyres. And it was just that April 2020 was a real lull. But in May 2020, it was just like somebody hit the month with a magic wand.
Really?
And everything came back. And I think, all our customers and all the independent tire dealers in the UK particularly just said, we're going back to work. And, after
as usual.
Yeah. And everybody just opened the doors and started to trade again. And to be fair, we never ever looked back from May onwards. It was, it was transitional because of the way, our portfolio of product we sold changed. I think very, very quickly people realised that maybe, we weren't selling cheap tyres anymore, but we had a fantastic range of premium and a great range of mid-range tyres, and that just took off. And on top of that, James, I'll let James talk you through the initiatives that how we supported our customers through that as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, Nigel mentions obviously the fact that the dealers, all of a sudden resumed and life kind of returned. But of course, at that point, we were all kind of experiencing this strange world that we were living in. Well, we were queuing up outside shops and all those sorts of things. And of course, we had a duty, I suppose, and a responsibility to ensure that we continued to supply our customers with tyres, of course, so that they could trade and they could support all the, the blue light workers. So, doctors and nurses, everyone that was essentially, that really was needed at the time. And so we set about making sure that we ensured that those businesses, so our customers, were COVID safe, if you will. So we supplied them free of charge with a whole kind of COVID pack, if you will, like screens and floor markers, face coverings, hand sanitizer, all this stuff.
Everything to keep their doors open.
Everything to keep their door open, and I think, you experienced it more than me, of course, because you speak to these guys every day. But that did a huge amount for us in terms of the loyalty and the relationships that we built with the customers. These customers that Nigel's been engaging with for many, many years. Strengthen those relationships, but it also then opened the door to new customers and new relationships. So people that perhaps didn't know us so well, all of a sudden were like, "Crikey, these guys are really helping us." Asking for nothing else in return, but they're supporting our business. It made a big difference, didn't it?
It was massive. It was massive. As James said, we supplied the screens for reception areas, stickers for the floors, so people were distanced when they came in. And like you said, for our business relationships, it just worked and built stronger relationships.
I think it's an important point, that trust aspect, because I think to think pre-pandemic, and it almost seems like too far to think back, because what was life before? I can't imagine going to the office 5 days a week anymore. I don't know who does.
No.
And we don't know. We don't know.
We're in a hybrid world, and that's it.
And we're that way. But thinking of how businesses and tire retail and how wholesalers were operating beforehand to now, are those shifts permanent, or are we working our way through things still?
I think we are working our way through things.
Interesting. Okay.
The more and more people that we get together in a function situation where we'll sit down and talk to them, and they'll sort of say, "Well, do you know something? I think we're going to close Saturdays. We're not going to open anymore. We might do a late night on a Tuesday till 7 p.m, but we're not going to open on a Saturday anymore." And that seems to have grown and grown, doesn't it? And more of them are doing, their business over 5 days rather than doing them over 5.5 days. And some of them even do the Sundays. And you're still going to have a collection of customers that will never change that because they think in their heads that that's what they need to do. But, it's changed immensely. And I mean, one of the other things that we noticed massively was the growth in online ordering.
I was going to ask the customer ordering side.
Massive. And at one stage, I was sort of fearful, thinking, wow, what we're going to do with our sales teams? Because what we saw online ordering go to, in the region, and nearly 80% of our sales were coming through online ordering. I think everybody through the pandemic just clicked buttons and ordered. Nobody could go out anywhere. Nobody could do anything. And I think,
we're buying stuff off Amazon, weren't we?
Exactly, yeah. And it did the same in our business as well. And to be fair, that's still there. There is still a great online following, which we're happy about. Nobody has to talk to anybody. They push buttons and order tyres, and it works.
But does that affect the operational side of the business then? Because you're losing an aspect that maybe you had before. People always came in and always bought, and that conversation always happened. How does that adjust?
Well, there are still an awful lot of people that do ring in, and our telesales teams tend not to change that often. So some of the people behind the phones at Stapletons have been with us 25, 30 years. So the relationships are built. And I think you've always got that sort of tier of customers really that still want to talk to somebody. Yeah. But what it allowed us to do is to actually start ringing out more than start waiting for, be
a bit more proactive.
Not be reactive, but be more proactive. And I think what it's actually allowed us to do is be massively more proactive with our customers. So we're actually talking to them an awful lot more than we used to.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Because you're starting the conversation.
Absolutely. And, I want my staff to be customer account managers. And I think now this proactive sort of working practice that we've got allows them to do that. So it's understanding what they're doing, understanding what the customer wants, what's he buying, where's he buying it from, what does he buy from there for, and what can we do to plug that gap. So it's opened, an all new opportunity for us, really, to be honest. So.
Yeah, and I suppose there's other things, isn't there? You think about like the social media services. I mean, there's things that we'll discuss probably later, but like we've got a whole suite, we call it our partner program, of different services, initiatives that we offer to our customers, of which there's a social media service where we will literally either, we will go from providing content all the way through to running someone's social media. Nigel's team run what's called our gold service, and they actually execute this activity, and they post content, strategize, plan, post content for our customers. These are things that we didn't do previously, and I suppose some of that time that's freed up, but it has allowed that. But at the same time, it gives your guys a different reason to speak to the customers. So they now have got this greater understanding of someone's business, so that because for this reason. So again, the customers feel like they're being listened to, and ultimately we're helping them kind of move into this. Well, we've helped them move into this more digital world, which again, you come back to the point, the big shift at the end during COVID, and that's kind of one of the outcomes from it.
There's that digital shift, and those strategies that you're putting in place then are vital to
absolutely
your partners' continued success.
It's bonding the customer actually now to the customer account manager as well, because it's like James has just said. What we've done within our telesales teams, we've got social media champions. And they've been trained to post social media. So not only that now they're starting to understand hashtags, they're understanding what content to put on there, they're understanding the shares and the likes and what that does for that customer. And I think the nice part for me is that, when they post something and they see the shares and the likes, then the engagement's massive. Yeah. And do you know something? It really, really brings them up and really
excites them.
It embraces them really into the job as well. So, and all this has come about basically because of the pandemic, every time. All the things that we're doing now have come from where we've had to change our business. We've had to look at what we do and how we do it. And, many times I sort of say, listen, I've 38 years in Stapletons and when I first started, we never had to do anything for customers. We had a price list, and the price list was the price list for a tyre, and we didn't support anybody. We just put the tyre on the van and delivered it. But now it's just it's an absolute suite of assets that we use to support people and support our customers.
Well, it's an interesting and delicate balance, and we touched on both of them there, but looking at them together, that digital tools that are available, the social side, the online ordering, the e-commerce, balancing that with the need for personalization. You can't go all in on either. You have to have both now. That's clear. How do you balance that strategically?
I mean, in terms of the services that we provide to our customers, I suppose it's, like Nigel said, it's a case of understanding the customer and understanding what their actual needs are and their requirements, rather than trying to thrust something upon them that they don't necessarily need. That is crucial.
I think the thing is as well, I think most of the offers are tailor-made. Yeah. So it's tailor-made to that. We don't go with an asset and say, you're taking this.
Here's the box.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's not the box. It's not what's in the box. It's like, what do you want to take out of the box to use for your business?
Well, what do you need in the box?
Absolutely.
Because actually we continue to evolve, and we continue to develop, our different initiatives, and we don't want it to be kind of, you must take one of these things, this list, because otherwise it's like, well, actually, it's just the same as the guy down the road, isn't it? I want to be different. How can you support me in a different way? So,
and do you see different elements of the industry and different sides of the industry having a different demand for that balance? Like someone goes, no, I just want pure quantity, and then I want very little personalization. Some elements where they say, I want them in the door, and that's the end of it.
I think when you look at, we've probably 7,000 accounts now within Stapletons. A lot of them 7,000 accounts don't buy a lot, but we've got mainstay customers that do. But yeah, you're quite right. We can talk to a customer about something, and I've spoke to several customers this week who have said, I don't need no more customers. We've got enough people coming through our door, so
they don't want to overload the resources.
Absolutely,
it's a smart move.
But I think it is smart. But I think they've also got to think about what happens in a couple of years, because I'm a great believer. I watch my grandchildren now who are never off mobile phones, and I watch the next generation coming. I'm not sure James watches his children as well on phones, and I'm thinking, when they get to 17 and they're driving and 18 years old, they ain't going to walk into a tyre shop and say, give me a price on a tyre.
Yeah.
They're going to press buttons. And they're going to expect, they're going to expect people to come out and fit tyres. And one of the other big growth sides that we've seen is mobile. Massive growth. So, where many independent tyre dealers shied away from mobile fitting, now, for me, it's a must. And I think we're seeing massive growth as well, aren't we, in the people that have taken it on. But again,
we offer it. Yeah, so we say it's another thing. So we will
part of the box, part of the option.
Absolutely, it wasn't, but it is, and we've supported many customers now with the full. I mean, we will literally
find a van, everything,
put everything in it, wrap it up, brand it up with their branding, put a big bow on it, and deliver it to them. There you go, off you go. So that could be someone,
box for everyone.
And it could be like someone that either doesn't have a mobile business and wanted to add that, so they've got that that option, or it could be that someone wants to move into another area, in terms of where they operate. So again, it's just we are there to support in that sense. So,
and talking about that technology side, because I think it's an important topic to mention. I think, like you said, this mobile game that's going to come up, and in a decade, it's a ticking clock. But this is getting exponentially quicker. How big mobile is. So, looking at the shift that you guys have had, what role has the evolution of technology played in how you build the next thing? Technology is evolving quickly. I was just talking to Tony at Tyre Scope, and obviously they're strictly focused on the next big tech piece and plugging that into the systems. But these type of solutions, these type of new innovations.
I think from James will tell you that one of my favourite sayings is that what's next. And I'm always saying that. What's next? Yeah. And we've got this right now. We've got this great portfolio of assets that we talk to customers about and that we offer. But we always keep asking that question: what's next? What's next? What's next? The thing that we've got at the moment is the Drivers Club with Tyre Scope.
Yeah, great program.
That's our next thing now, and we've been sort of trialing that with 4 customers since April, and the results have been fantastic. Yeah. So at the moment we're rolling that out. How big that gets, I don't know, but the snowball's going down the hill, and it's getting bigger and bigger every day right now. So
it is, and I think obviously that specifically, there's all sorts of elements to it because we're integrating that into people's websites. Of course, there's the great technology that comes, that sits behind it, reference obviously the scanning and everything else, which of course has been an industry issue for years anyway. We constantly see consumers turning up at our customers' sites, with the, having ordered the wrong tyre, and obviously you want to eradicate that.
It's a huge expense.
It's a pain in the bum, isn't it? And so this technology will really help that. But of course, there's other elements to it that Tony's brought into it. It's going to add some real value to our customers. Nigel always says to me, we got a few things, I suppose. Traffic. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to drive traffic into our customers' businesses. If we can give them footfall,
it opens a huge door for them.
The conversations that Nigel's team have with those customers when they go in and see them, different conversation completely. There's a lot less to moan about if you know that as a result of what we provided, all those customers have come through the door. Crikey, makes your life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just
it simplifies those conversations.
It's like I sit in my office and I'll say to the guys, get a whiteboard up and we'll write down of everything that we're doing right now, and you say, why would anybody not want to buy a tyre from Stapletons? Yeah, it's endless. It's endless. And the offers and how we're prepared to work with people right now is just second to none.
So that's incredible. And leveraging what's coming up and that what next mindset and attitude as a culture is huge.
And I think that's important, isn't it? We talk to the likes of Tony and other sort of technology players just because you've got to keep understanding obviously what's going on. I mean, we also have the value of being part of a big group, of course. So we're part of the ETEL group, and so there's always things that we can potentially leverage there, understand what's going on elsewhere, our sister company and everything else. So there's we got to open our eyes to all these things and just be prepared and not be afraid of change. I think the pandemic,
which is a huge realization, to be honest.
It is, and it's still people still struggle with that, of course. But I think everyone got much better at that during the pandemic, or
forced,
because we had no choice. You are going to work from home. You are going to do your meetings on Zoom and Teams.
Adjust,
and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So,
but then on both sides of it, from the employee side and the employer side, to have you guys having to adjust to being okay with that.
Yeah, I think like James has just said. I think what we did, we sat down and we looked at the nationals in particular, and so what are the nationals doing in retail right now? Interest-free credit. So, everybody's going into the big nationals or the equities in the UK and getting interest-free credit. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have interest-free credit for our independent
We'll take
customers
some
as well.
yeah.
Yeah, I think, that some of them straight away go, oh, I don't really want to do that because, if a customer hasn't got the money, shouldn't be buying the tyres. But, I think there's another argument to that, because I've also had people say to me, wow, we've just had the local millionaire in, and he's used our interest-free finance. And I said, well, of course he has, because he's leaving his money in the bank right now. Interest rates are good. So, he's taking advantage of the interest-free. So I think once everybody gets their head round just what's happening with that, again, it's another string to the bow. It's another option that they can, they've never, ever had this before. And right now it's just endless.
Do you feel like these shifts that have happened, and we've spoken about a number of them, but do you feel like this would have happened just at a later time? Or did it really turn everything upside down and force everyone to just think differently?
I think it probably would have come eventually, but I think it'd have been years down the line
for a different reason, perhaps.
Absolutely, and I think the way the
generational,
the way the pandemic hit and what it did to everybody, and it was a completely different culture. And let's be honest, like you've just said, we all just had Amazon pulling up at the house every day, didn't we? And it's like, you used to stand in the kitchen window and go, who's this one going to now?
Yeah. What did I order? I just
endless stream of couriers coming on the street, dropping whatever off. And it's like, wow. I was talking to a taxi driver, and I said to him, just after lockdown had lifted the first time, and so I said to him, how have you done then? Have you been really struggling then or what? And he went, no. I said, you haven't been struggling? He said, no, we've been doing Uber Eats and earning £1,000 a week delivering food. And it's like, that's how our lives change, isn't it? But I think it did springboard all of these things pretty quickly, James, didn't it, really?
It really compressed a lot of time.
We had to think on our feet quickly, and he did it, He's brought an absolutely fantastic product to us all now. And it's like I say, the more strings he can give me to my bow, the better my team have going out selling Stapletons, basically. And right now, I think we do it better than anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see these initiatives come into practice, because there's a lot of obviously work that goes into building this kind of a thing. But then to see someone like yourselves take it on and put it in people's hands is the springboard, as you said. That is the kicker.
And what's so crucial about it as well is that, of course, ultimately what we're selling tyres. So if we're providing our customers with anything else, it has to work, because otherwise that conversation that I referred to, where Nigel's team will go in and have a positive conversation because we provided a positive service, if that service goes wrong in any way, shape or form, of course, all of a sudden that conversation is a disaster. So we have to make sure we get it right before we roll out. So we would like now, with the pilots, we are piloting. We do it right. We will learn a lot. Of course, you can learn. You're going to make some mistakes. It's like your podcast when you first started, no doubt.
So many.
But then you get there, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, now we can go. And now when everyone gets it, we can kind of run with it. So
coming back to a point you mentioned, and there's that generational gap, and on technology as well. How do you, with your partners, work to future-proof the next generation using technology or using the strategies that you've learned in this rapid time to protect that generational difference when people don't want to come in the door anymore, when they have expectations of same-day delivery on commodities that aren't really built for same-day delivery? As the generational changes happen, how do you provide tools and technology to future-proof that? Is it partnership relations and trusting what partners do?
Yeah, I think it really is trusting. And I mean, what you've just said then, we've got many, many customers who have still got the fathers and grandfathers in the business.
That's why who will be on their way.
Who absolutely still sit in the corner of the reception every day and don't work.
No, but
it's like, my business runs on word of mouth. Yeah, my business doesn't run on any of this. And then you've got the grandson and the son with his arm around you outside saying, listen, don't worry, because we need to do all of this. But there's this very, very steady process of getting the dads and granddads around to thinking like they do. There again, you take certain customers who have just got huggins and huggins of initiative and they run with it and run the business.
Some are incredibly proactive, aren't they?
Yeah, very proactive. And I think what we're doing is we're working with the future, really. So we are talking to the younger ones and trying to, roll it out gently to the older ones, if you like. But yeah, they're on board, and they want to take the businesses forward and they want to do things differently. And I think when we talk about the things that we've just spoken to you about, it's like, yeah, we need to be doing that. So I think from our side, we're trying to set up the younger breed, if you like, the future. We're trying to set them up properly. I mean, one of the things that we're working on at the moment, so we're doing quite a bit of training at the moment. So, we're bringing people into into our depots, and we've got a girl now who does training courses, and you know, she's just run a couple this week, and they've been fantastic. Well, last week, sorry, and they were fantastic, and the feedback that the customer got from them had just gone, they were absolutely great. So, you know, that's what we're doing. We're trying to bring this generation into where we need to be and what they need to do and how they need to do it. And I think the one thing is, I think that for me, it's the gratification of putting something in and seeing it work, you know, and then it's like, you know, perhaps you don't see that enough really. And perhaps we don't, rather than, you know, we kick you too much and might sort of pat you on the back now and again, because, you know, what we do is we see the end product. So, you know, we see it growing, we see it going through the process and delivering what we want it to deliver. So
I love it. And just maybe as a last point on that, and to kind of bring everything together here, to make adoption work, leveraging technology that's user-friendly, and you guys have learned a lot in this way. It's the only way things are going to move forward. Can you just give a couple words on that usability factor?
Yeah. Well, I suppose actually, I mean, in terms of, well, there's a few things there actually, because in terms of adoption, you know, we've got our customers all talk to one another. So of course, if you get some technology out there that works, you know, we'll make sure that certain customers use it, because of course there'll be certain customers that if he's using it, I trust him, you know. So and on we go from there. So and we do that, and we utilize that tactic quite a lot.
With your huge network, yeah.
Absolutely. And then of course, you know, all of a sudden that spine of the country, it grows and grows, and everyone's like, I want that. So then you've got this big pull all of a sudden. So yeah, whatever it is, if it's again, and like we said, we're not going to put something in that's not right for a customer. So you know, so once it's in, it's there, then everyone talks, and then on we go.
And build that credibility towards the new pieces and sort of be trendsetters.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and that we do this, don't we? A lot. We try and be out there to start with, you know. And of course, inevitably, such and such is now doing this. So one of our competitors, that will always happen. You know, we expect that. You know, we have this lovely brochure, as Nigel mentioned. You know, we produced it knowing full well everybody would get it. It's going to be sitting on every one of our competitors' desks tomorrow morning as soon as it goes out.
We have a saying in Stapletons, and
bring it on.
Well, one of my guys always says, Nigel, we are the shepherds, they are the sheep.
It's so good, and it's so fitting as well. I think it's great, but it's great to see you guys lead the way like this, and to, like you said, be proactive with your teams and not just wait for everything to come in, and just to see the success right off of that. I think it's fantastic. So it's a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot going on that I am very, very much watching. I think it's exciting stuff. So again, thank you so very much for being with me. It's been great having you both here and talking with you in the studio, but I've learned a ton, and hopefully the listeners have as well. So both of you, Nigel, James, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers.
And to everyone watching and listening, thank you very much for being with me on this podcast and this episode of the Auto Tech Show. Hopefully you have learned a lot. There's lots going on. Definitely keep a close eye on what Stapletons are doing. Some really cool stuff around the corner, and it's fun to watch from this side. So a new episode of the Auto Tech Show is coming very soon, and we'll see you there. Wishing you all a fantastic day wherever in the world you may be. We'll see you very soon. Bye for now.